And joining me now today in the studio is the man that you just saw in that package, Josh Summers. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And once again, so you moved to Xinjiang in 2006.
Yeah.
You've been living there 10 years later. You're still living there with no plans to move elsewhere. How did all this happen?
Well, you know, it's like most things that happen in life where, you know, you're kind of your head down doing it, and then when you have a moment to look up, you look back and you go, how did I get here? And it was kind of that same way. It was an opportunity that came up. We were planning for it only to be a year, maybe two, and you know, as time went on and we really fell in love with the place, those 2 years turned into 4 years, which, you know, now 10 years later we still find ourselves there.
And you moved there with your wife initially, right?
Correct, yeah, it was just me and my wife initially, and then we went back to have our son, and we moved back in 2013 with my son Jaden.
Right, and now, as I learned earlier from our conversation, your wife is pregnant again with baby number 2.
Correct,
so
yes.
That's very exciting, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and how is it like raising a family in Xinjiang?
Well, I would have to, any ability that our family has had to thrive in that environment, I have to give my wife, Tiffany, pretty much most of the credit. I mean, it is somewhat difficult. There isn't the foreign support community that you may have in other cities around China or around the world that have more of a foreign expat population. And, you know, we don't have access to a lot of the foreign import products that, you know, I'm used to. You know, for us, going out on the weekend might be going to Burger King, which is the only other thing. We have
so
no
there's
Starbucks.
A Burger King there.
There is a Burger King.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I actually save money because I don't have all these other options to spend my money on.
Correct. Correct. Okay, and now you're from Texas. Did you grow up in Texas as well then?
I did. Spent all of my years in Texas.
So I grew up from Toronto, and just from my own experience, I felt like I struggled with my cultural identity, probably even more so once I moved to China in 2006, because although I look the part, I had a pretty Western upbringing. So in regards to your son and, you know, your future son,
yeah.
Will you immerse them in the Xinjiang culture completely and be happy to have them identify themselves the way the children there do?
There's really not too much of an option in that regard. Like at home, we speak and use English, and then outside the home, we use Mandarin most of the time. But we don't have access to an international school, so my son attends, you know, a Chinese kindergarten right now that is complete. I mean, it is full immersion for him. And I feel like he didn't have the choice to join us, like, you know, out, and it wasn't his choice to come out to China, to go out into Xinjiang. But my hope is that when he grows up, the one thing that we can offer him as a gift for doing this is just the ability to be able to speak Mandarin, to have this kind of cross-cultural experience.
That's wonderful. And now, about Xinjiang, in relation to Xinjiang and people visiting there, do you think it takes a certain personality, like yours perhaps, to tough it out or appreciate Xinjiang? I mean, visiting is one thing and people might love it, but living there, that's a different story.
Absolutely. I don't think it is for everybody. And I wouldn't have known that except, you know, because it felt very natural for my wife and I. I don't know what it is about our personalities that just really happen to fit well in that environment. But we have seen many other people who have come and just, it hasn't been the right fit for them. And so they've had to leave, or their time was just short. And I think that there is a certain type of personality, a certain type of person that is willing to just try to be, you know, completely adventurous, almost completely off the grid in some ways.
Open-minded,
Very
probably.
open-minded, very willing to engage in completely different cultures that have different religions and different ways of expressing themselves.
Did you go through any kind of culture shock when you first arrived there? Were there, you know, a certain moment that you can recall where you were just completely blown away?
A certain moment, I'm not so sure. I mean, there definitely was culture shock. I do remember when I first moved out there, going into the grocery store the first time, this was probably 2 weeks into our stay in Xinjiang, and I found peanut butter, right? And I was just like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
If I got peanut butter, I can do this.
You're set.
Because it was the first thing I'd found up to that point that reminded me of home.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, and I must admit, I stalked your Instagram page and I saw in one of your posts you were posing with a few friends with bicycles, and I think in the caption you had written, "We had just biked 462 kilometers, followed by, I'm not sure if I'm remembering this right, a 22-kilometer mountain hike." Is this something you do every day? What are some of your favorite pastimes there?
It's not something, well, I do ride my bike every day.
Okay.
That's my mode of transportation to go to work and back, and I love that. And I do lead bike trips through a company called Altus Expeditions, which is what you saw. And it is an incredible way to see Xinjiang, right, without the confines of a car. And I have really enjoyed that aspect of being out there and being able to, just be out in the open, be outdoors. People ask me all the time, they're like, how can you live in such a remote place? And I think about the fact that, where I get to be, where I get to bike, and I think, why would I want to live elsewhere?
Right.
I really love this.
That's great. And also on your website, FarWestChina.com, which is very well organized, I must say, and such an easy, comfortable read in terms of its interface. You list 6 reasons why people should visit Xinjiang, and you mentioned diversity. So let's talk about food first. What's on the menu?
There is plenty on the menu, but what you'll find most of is lamb. And there is a lot of lamb. So whether that's eating kebabs or a dish called polo, which is kind of a Central Asian pilaf, which is my son's favorite, by the way.
Pilaf.
Pilaf,
Okay.
yes. He loves to eat his pilaf. And all of those dishes have very much a Central Asian feel, but you also have the Hantan, the Han Chinese food. There's a mixture of Kazakh. I've eaten horse meat from the Kazakh people, had Tajik food. I love the fact that I'm not confined to one particular kind of food. I can really get a flavor of, get a taste of a number of different flavors.
So when you visit the US for an extended period of time, sometime you probably miss the food back home in Xinjiang.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's just not the same. Even going to Beijing and eating at a Xinjiang restaurant, it's good, but it does not compare.
The same. Okay. And in terms of art and culture, what have you witnessed in Xinjiang over the years, and how does it differ compared to other parts of China?
Well, there's definitely I guess what you'd call an up-and-coming art scene in Xinjiang, but it's very young. What I find myself most interested in is kind of the historical art forms that that Xinjiang is well known for. Things like the music and the dance and what you see in the pictures and the videos. It seems very stereotypical, but that doesn't mean it's not amazing to witness. I was in Turpan probably 2 months ago and had a personal dutar concert.
What's a dutar?
A dutar is a 2-stringed Uyghur instrument, very similar to a couple other instruments that you might find in Central Asia. And it was just one gentleman playing on the dutar, singing a Uyghur song, and it was beautiful.
So similar to a guitar, but with 2 strings.
Correct, and yeah, maybe that's why I liked it so much.
Okay, and in addition to being a writer, entrepreneur, blogger, adventurer, and now father, or pretty soon father of two boys, you're also a musician. And while you've been living in Xinjiang, you wrote a song. Can you tell us more about your inspiration behind the song?
Well, the song is called Tomorrow, and it's kind of a culmination of just my life through college and even up to here, where there are times when you look back and you're like, this day just sucked, or some things just. But it's a reminder for me that every day, tomorrow, it's a new day.
It's a new day.
God gives us the opportunity to be able to just kind of start with a fresh slate.
Very good. And unfortunately, we only have 2 minutes left on our show. So if you will entertain us with that song, we'd be so appreciative. Thank you so much for being with us today, Josh Summers. Ladies and gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you. I refuse to live my life by the question, what if? For what good comes from looking behind? Looking back makes me wonder, pleading the fifth, be my best bet, where I asked if God's and my will were aligned. For when doubts in my mind form a merry-go-round, and I question why this day can't be rewound. I thank God that when I fail to be that moldable clay, yes, I know that tomorrow's a new day. Oh, and out in my mind form a merry-go-round, and I question why this day can't be rewound. I thank God that when I fail to be that moldable clay, yes, I know that tomorrow's a new day. Oh, tomorrow's a new day.
Isn't he? And now, George Summers.